Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Selfless Little Gaming. We are on episode number 10. We have a lot of things to talk about today. It is that time of the year where moves are being made within the NFL. A lot of movement around the NFL past couple of days, so we're going to get into that today. We're also going to talk briefly towards the end about the NCAA March Madness tournament and what's going to be like kind of unfolding with that, because there's conference tournaments right now to determine who's actually going to get in. But I am Selfless_gaming. You can find me on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and Hover. And this is my boy Little Jacob. Take it over, bro.
What's up, guys? Little Jacob here. That's Little with the 3 instead of an E. You can also find me on Twitch, TikTok, Twitter, and Facebook if you'd like to utilize that. Definitely feel free to reach out to me on those platforms.
All right. So starting with the NFL, we've had a lot of movement that has taken place the past couple of days. One of the biggest things that has come about and kind of like really talked about like all season long is the whole situation with Aaron Rodgers. The Packers have come to a deal and an agreement for him with an extension of 4 years, $200 million, with I believe it was like 153 or 156 million guaranteed. The Packers have also franchise tagged Davante Adams, so he can still go to a different team if they're willing to pay him more money, but they're also going to have to like give up several draft picks and things like that. So yeah. Packers definitely threw that on top of him. What do you think about that situation?
Well, man, I'll be honest with you. For Aaron Rodgers, and as good as he is in the regular season, and you could probably even argue, and he's been called this a couple times by guys like Skip Bayless, and I would agree. As one of the greatest, or if not the greatest, regular season quarterback that's ever played, especially consistent wise what he's able to do. I just feel like it's just too much money for a guy his age, and for what they haven't been able to accomplish for like a decade now. The guy's 39. You figure 4 years down the road, he's going to be in his 40s. He might not even play all the way through that contract. Then when you look at the guaranteed money that they're going to have to give him as well, they could be stuck in a situation where, and I don't wish this on anybody, but say he gets hurt, he can't play anymore. Now, they still have to pay him that large chunk of money that you mentioned, and it's something that could hurt them going down the road because they're going to be paying for a guy that can't even play anymore. So I understand from a fan's perspective of why you would want to keep Aaron Rodgers for sure, but I feel like it was just way too much money to keep him there. And Davante Adams should have been the person that more of that money went to, or a good chunk of that money should have went to keep him there for a considerable amount of time, like longer, like a 4-year contract, 5-3, something to keep Davante Adams for sure. Because like you said, even though they franchise tagged him, he could still potentially get traded or ask for a trade. Also, it means that next year he could say, you know what, I don't want to do the whole franchise tag thing anymore. I'm just going to walk and test out the free agents market, especially if they were to get in the same situation where they go to the playoffs and lose or don't even go at all, right? Mm-hmm. So, yeah, man, I don't know. It just seems like it's a really big, desperate move from Green Bay. But I don't agree with how big that contract is for Rodgers and how long, considering how old he is and those other factors.
Yeah, and like, I don't know, we've talked about this past couple episodes, and I genuinely feel with the NFL being what it is, it's a business. Obviously moves are made. You want to try to retain certain athletes and stuff, but they have gone down this path for so many years of dumping, and when I say this, I'm speaking about the Packers and their organization. They have done this for so many years of literally dumping so much money into like a player or a different player, and that ties up so much of your cap space. And then when it comes to like the other assets of the team, such as like defense or getting like additional wide receivers and things like that, it's like, you're not going to have those resources to allocate out to these players that you need to get. And honestly, like Aaron Rodgers is honestly probably the best quarterback that we have seen play over the past 5 to 8 years. Like he is legitimately the best quarterback in the league. But people call Tom Brady the GOAT and everything. Tom Brady's the most accomplished quarterback. I don't think Tom Brady is like the best quarterback in the league. He's the most accomplished one. But you look at like the blueprint of what Brady had, he was rarely the top 10 paid quarterback in the league. He had plenty of weapons around him, not only on offense, but on defense. The team was never in a cap like crunch situation as far as their cap space and money. But then you look at these other teams where they're just like dumping tons of money to individual players, they're not as successful. And I just kind of feel like unless Green Bay really goes out in this draft and they try to possibly like move up positions to get some better wide receivers on offense, to try to provide Aaron with some more weapons for the next couple of years, I just kind of I'm seeing the same scenario of a great like preseason, a great regular season, falling short in the postseason. And I don't know. I know the Packers have cut Jalen Smith. They're already like looking to get rid of a couple other guys and stuff. So it's like you're kind of getting rid of a lot of assets that you could have in order to ensure you're keeping this money for a guy. So I don't know. Are the Packers going to be successful? Yes. Are they going to necessarily reach the end goal of the Super Bowl? You don't know. And I'm very fearful of like what you said, the guaranteed money, and if he gets hurt, because he has been hurt in the past and missed seasons. If he gets hurt, now you're just SOL. You're out of luck,
Yeah, and it's also, I think we talked about it one morning too. Like, at what point do you have to say, look, I mean, we appreciate Rodgers, we love Rodgers, we want to do everything we can to keep him on the football team, but at what point do you have to also think about the future, the cap space you're going to have for future players, the next quarterback's going to have to come after him, unlike baseball where you can just pay players whatever you want, if you're a rich owner, you got it, you can get it. Because of cap space and the amount of money that they're shoveling out to them each year, it's really going to limit what they can do, not only as far as free agency, but the draft picks, the players that they are drafting. It's just, it can be a crutch more than it is a help for somebody. And it's going to have to depend on how it plays out, because they might just end up regretting that in the next few years. But we'll have to see what happens. I mean, like you said, they're definitely going to do well. Definitely going to be one of the top teams in the NFC. I wouldn't doubt, unless there's injuries, they're definitely one of the top teams and most likely get back to the playoffs again. But I mean, we've been saying this for like the past 10 years now. So hats off to them if they can make it. But so far, it just hasn't worked out for them at all. They've had some games where they're just playing really well. We've seen Aaron Rodgers come back in games. We've seen what he's able to do. And then it's like you get to the playoffs, you get to the game where it counts the most, and it's just like it's a dud. It's a dud. They had the football 2 times, because I remember I was watching. They had the football 2 times. Aaron Rodgers had the football 2 times at the end of that 4th quarter, and I think he completed like maybe 2 passes, a pass. Yeah. I know the weather is kind of crappy. It's Lambeau, all that, but you still have to make it happen. And it just seems like, man, once again, here comes the postseason. And Aaron Rodgers has the football, and he just can't get it done for some reason in the postseason. So,
another very interesting development that occurred the past couple of days is, and I think I don't even know what to think about this. The Seahawks released or traded Russell Wilson to the Denver Broncos, which is obviously a huge win for the Denver Broncos, having a quarterback such as Russell Wilson. But it seems like to me, the Seahawks are literally already going into next year of we're going to go and acquire drafts. We're going to try to get as much cap space as we possibly can, because they got rid of Bobby Wagner, linebacker. They're already looking to deal Tyler Lockett. It just seems like they're just willing and dealing to anybody that wants to take people for either draft picks or to relieve some money. And I don't understand the motive behind it, because usually if you see a team that starts to get rid of a lot of different assets, especially like from offense and defensive perspective, they're trying to go out and acquire like one or two superstars for your quarterback or one or two superstars for your defense,
Yeah.
not get rid of your superstars. You know,
Yeah.
like it makes no sense what they're doing right now. So I don't know. Like that whole situation that has unfolded is very odd to me. I think the Broncos, though, they've definitely increased like tenfold by getting Russell
Yeah.
Wilson. Russell Wilson actually has like several weapons on that team too. With the wide receivers he's got, running backs he's got a pretty decent offensive line, which he hasn't really had in Seattle. But he's also probably in the toughest division besides, I would say, the AFC North when it comes to the AFC West.
Yeah.
You know, he's going to have to be facing Justin Herbert in the Chargers, Patrick Mahomes, and the Chiefs, the Raiders, Derek Carr. Like, that's a pretty tough
That
division, man.
division's gonna be loaded. I mean, it's gonna be fun to watch. And you know what? It's crazy because even without it, at one point it was a really close race for that division
Mm-hmm.
overall last year. Then you bring in a guy like Russell Wilson. Um, I think they're really going to be looking to do some damage to the Broncos. I mean, he has a really good receiving core. He's got a pretty decent running back. With what a guy like Teddy Bridgewater, who clearly isn't on the same level as Russell Wilson, you know, uh, he's a good quarterback, but he's not great.
Yeah.
Russell Wilson has won a Super Bowl. He is great. So when you add that in the mix with what they were able to do last year, I mean, the Broncos are going to look really promising. It's definitely a sad time to be a Seahawks fan because it really feels like they're just kind of like cleaning house and starting the rebuild process. I know one person that's probably really upset is DK Metcalf because now he's probably like, what the heck
Yeah.
just happened? What is going on? I mean, he's like the best offensive player now on their team, athletic wise, and you know, like you said, it's kind of awkward that they would part ways with Russell Wilson and not find a way to keep him
Yeah.
on the football team somehow, some way.
It's just, I don't know, like that whole scenario and situation um, was very odd to me because, like, I know they got draft picks and everything from that situation, but I don't know. Like, I feel like there's more to the story of why they were just willing to like get rid of Wilson.
And
Because he's a big time player, man. And like I felt like when I saw, I want to say it was like 3 first round draft picks or something like that. And to me, I'm like, dude, this guy's like literally been number one, number three quarterback in the league when he had a decent offensive line. Like, and you're only getting 3 number 1 draft picks, and depending on where you fall within that order, like, I don't know, man. Like Denver could be freaking lights out next few years, and they could
yeah,
be picked, 30, 31, 32, or whatever, like in the draft for the next 3 years. They could absolutely just be awesome. They could win 3 Super Bowls. Hell, you don't know. And like, I don't know, man. That whole situation just doesn't really make sense to me.
yeah, and the kind of caliber of character that Russell Wilson is, which if you watch the NFL or you kind of follow the really good players and just based on the kind of guy he is and the charities he does and everything, he's a really nice guy. He is a really cool guy. I mean, you see him do stuff for kids all the time. Things he don't have to do. I think it was a Pro Bowl. A bunch of players are walking by and there's a bunch of kids shouting, "Hey, yeah!" The different players' names, and Russell Wilson was the only one that stopped, turned around, signed some things for the kids, took some snaps or selfies, whatever. So he's a generally really cool guy. I feel like maybe there's things going on behind the scenes, disagreements, not satisfaction with the staff or other players, things that we won't know about because he's the kind of professional that's not going to talk about it outside of the locker room and it's just going to be like, look, whatever issues or dramas going in here, that stays in here. Outside, I'm going to carry myself like I always have, which is a really nice professional guy. So yeah, I mean, I think it's maybe he's just done fed up with everything, the way that things are going there and the direction it's headed in. So he wanted to go somewhere where he felt he had the best chance to win, or somewhere else. I am surprised, definitely that he did not stay in the NFC, but I think someone said that they traded him to the Broncos because they did not want him to be in the NFC anymore. I know one of the teams that inquired about him prior to them getting a new quarterback was the Washington Commanders.
Mm-hmm.
They did inquire about getting him, but the sole purpose that Seahawks are like, no, we don't want him in the NFC anymore. He didn't end it there. He almost ended up in the Commanders. I think it might have happened if they didn't have that idea that we don't want him to be in the NFC
Yeah.
anymore. I think he ended up there.
And it's like crazy kind of breaking down the quarterback situation now. In the AFC, or really in the NFC, you got Aaron Rodgers, Matthew Stafford, Dak Prescott,
Yeah.
Kyler Murray. It's pretty much like the big ones, honestly. In the AFC, you got Justin Herbert, Russell Wilson, Patrick Mahomes, Jared Allen, um,
Lamar Jackson.
Jackson. You got Baker Mayfield, Joe Burrow. Like the
Derek
freaking
Carr's been pretty
yeah, the AFC is freaking stacked with quarterbacks, bro.
Yeah.
Like it is. It's almost kind of like the West versus the East in the NBA. It's like majority of the West has like all the superstars and all stars and pros, and it's just like the opposite for the NFL. Like it is crazy how stacked the AFC quarterback situation is going to be.
Yeah.
Moving forward. Another trade that had occurred, which to me felt like more of a desperation act,
Yeah.
was the Washington Commanders acquiring Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz ended up having like an okay season last year. It wasn't anything like tremendous or amazing. But I don't know. You could have acquired some other people, I think, that could have definitely been more of a asset. If you're really wanting to like try to rebuild, you have some good quarterbacks that are coming out in the draft this year that you could get. So I don't know, man. Like I understand they needed a quarterback. You could probably get Carson Wentz pretty cheap, but
Probably what it was, because I mean, Heineke. I mean, he did have a stretch where he played pretty decent. He was able to stay healthy. I really don't think that from Heineke to Wentz is exactly in my mind an upgrade or an improvement overall. But like you said, it might be the contract situation and the picks that they're able to get for him from the Colts. I know that one person who definitely voiced their feelings about it is Darius Leonard, linebacker from the Colts. You know, it's like he literally said, "Here we go again." This is his fifth different quarterback. So since he's gotten to the Colts, played at a high level because he's a great player, he's had 5 different quarterbacks, and it's just kind of like, man, you know, when you think that you got things going, and that's the thing too. They had such a good season.
Yeah, they started off very slow due to injury and stuff, but they definitely turned their season around. Like they were right there in playoff hunt contention, and I remember we were talking about them a little bit. Like, man, if the Colts keep playing the way they're playing, like this is not a team I want to face in the playoffs. Like, because they could very well beat you. Yeah, I don't know, man. I understand the situation, but I also felt like the Colts could have got a little bit more for that deal, in my opinion. Because like I felt like with the trade, it didn't benefit them as much as it should have, giving up their starting quarterback who, like when he's healthy and he can play well, he can play well. But I don't know, man. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how things are panning out because some other notable people that may or may not go anywhere. We know Godwin got franchise tagged by Tampa Bay as well, which is a smart move on their part because that's the best. Well, Mike Evans is really good too, but there's no reason why you would want to move on for a guy like Godwin at his age and his ability. Of course, there's still the situation with Amari Cooper and DeMarcus Lawrence and where they might end up. I know that Dallas did restructure Dak's contract and I think Zach Martin's contract to free up like $20 million in cap space. So we'll see how that gets worked out. So you know, those are still some pieces that are on the board, as you could say, that could still either stay or go somewhere else. Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, Michael Gallup is still technically going to be a free agent. So there's like 3 players on Dallas that you might end up seeing potentially go somewhere. I know that they're saying that Washington might release their veteran safety Landon Collins, which is, I mean, he's a really solid safety in my mind. That's going to be a good pickup for somebody if they do. And And a lot of these things happen because, like what we're talking about, guys, is because of cap space.
Yeah.
Because when you don't have enough money for the future or to pay guys or what have you, these are the kind of things that happen. And that's kind of why I was talking to about the deal with Aaron Rodgers, that I think this might really shoot them in the foot in the future, because and then who are they going to have to cut and let go, because they still have to pay Aaron his money and they can't keep other guys on the team. It can get really ugly and complicated and crappy when you have to lose players that you know are good, but you just can't afford to keep because of that cap space rule.
Well, and to kind of put things into perspective, the teams with the most cap space right now, this is why I didn't understand like the Wentz trade so
Mm-hmm.
much. The teams with the most cap space right now, number one is the Colts with almost $70 million in cap space. Okay. Number two is the Dolphins with 51.3 million. Seahawks are at 49.9, so you can say 50 million. The Jets at 48.8. The Chargers at 42.3
Mm-hmm.
million. That's the top five. The Bengals have 35 million in cap space. The past 2 years, they've really been hitting up the free agency like market in the offseason.
Yeah.
And honestly, with what they have on defense secured for the next couple of years, that 35 million, I hope they actually like invest that in the offensive line, which is like kind of been rumored and projected that's where that cap space money is going to go and be focused on
Yeah.
his offensive line. Um, but the Chargers with their 40 million, you know, their defensive line was like the worst last year for stopping the run. Teams ran all over them. It's kind of crazy actually with what they have on their, or not offense line, their defense line. Teams ran all over them. So it's kind of crazy that with who they have, they weren't able to like really stop them. But a free agency that basically got finalized for the Chargers was Mike Williams.
Mm-hmm.
He was projected to be a free agent. I believe they signed him for 60 million for 4 years. I think it was. Um, so pretty much 15 mil a year, which is pretty
Yeah.
freaking good. Um, but I don't like. This is the part of football that a lot of people don't follow because it's not live. There's no games being played. But this is where teams make their moves, and you're just either like scratching your head, like the Seahawks, like why in the hell are you doing this? Or you turn around and you're a Broncos fan, you're like, holy crap, bro! Like we got a shot now.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah. And one of the other things that's getting really good right now is the combine, because you're getting more of an idea of like who is at least being able to perform up to like pretty high expectations. I know they've been talking a lot about that guy from Pittsburgh, Kenny Pickett.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Man, there's all this talk about his hand size, and I mean, honestly, I get it. The guy has smaller hands than what you would expect or want a quarterback, and that's usually how these guys are critiqued, and that's how they critique athletes all the time: how big are their hands, this and that, for the position they're playing. But I mean, he's done pretty well in his workouts. It looks like he's also pretty quick. He ran a 4.73. Um, Especially with this era of mobile quarterbacks, there's a high floor ceiling difference with him, and comparing to other quarterbacks. He says here, and this is a really good thing for him. Pickett seems to be the most pro-ready passer in the class with the capability to play early, which is something that's great. That's what a football team wants. You want a guy you can just get in there right away, start working with, and throwing the football around. Um, he was certainly on display since Thursday night, with all his throws were crisp and on time, and it shows displaying accurate passing. So it sounds like he's going to be a nice selection for somebody. Um, Best team fits here says Pittsburgh, of course. That's where he's playing, and Carolina and Denver. Even though you don't want to go to Denver, Russell Wilson just showed up because you're not going to play. Um, but yeah, there's some really great athletes that we're seeing on display, man. Kenny Walker from Michigan State, and the kid's looking good, man. He ran a 4.3. Anytime you got a running back that can run like that, there's a lot you can do with them offensive wise. And then of course you got receivers like Chris Olave. I mean, that dude's stupid fast. Says here he's looking really smooth, running crisp routes, and just has a great set pair of hands. So he's making a big name for himself. Be interesting to see where he ends up. Where do you think he might end up? If you had to guess, like on a team.
I don't know. It's tough because like I feel like there's like several teams right now that have a lot of like gaps they got to fill.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like sometimes sometimes acquiring a guy like that can say for a team they got like 10 spots they need to fill, okay? But then you go after a guy like that and it's just kind of like, well, now we can really only afford to fill two more gaps. So, but it's tough, dude, because you don't know what some of these guys in these offices are thinking and what they're gonna do.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I don't know. Honestly, like I'm interested to see how that develops personally. But I don't know. I couldn't even give a projection on that right now because
Yeah.
I'm still kind of like not fully caught up on like what teams are needing and like what their plans are or movements already are. So I'm still trying to like go through the list of free agents still. We obviously got the big ones out there, but
Yeah. If you have a pick coming up and you have Chris and Garrett Wilson, who would you go with? If you got both of them on the board, who do you think?
Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson,
Mm-hmm.
Garrett Wilson,
Garrett
100%.
Wilson.
The only reason I would take Garrett Wilson, and it's nothing against Chris Olave, is throughout Garrett Wilson's like college career, the guy has shown that he can be a huge threat on the outside. He's extremely athletic, can go up and get a ball, but he's also very durable and he can go across the middle. And he's like been known to go across the middle, take some punishment, make some stuff happen. Whereas Chris Olave, even though he's stupid fast, he's
Mm-hmm.
more of a Deshaun Jackson to me. Like he's more of your vertical threat guy, stretch the field, your home run hitter that can get separation from somebody. But you also see how those guys hold up too. Like knock on wood for Chris Olave, but he didn't have a ton of injuries in college. Dude stayed healthy, which is always good.
Yep.
But a lot of those like speedster guys, especially in the NFL, they seem to always have like some more hiccups. And I don't know, like Deshaun Jackson when he was younger, dude was awesome. Like you definitely wanted him. But now it's like he plays a game, 2 games, then he's out for 2 games with his hamstrings and stuff. But when the guy pops off for a game, he completely controls the game essentially. Like he makes defenses literally have to play a whole different style. But I personally would go Garrett Wilson. That's my pick. Now, if Smith Njigba was there, so if you had Olave, Smith Njigba, and Garrett Wilson, Smith Njigba, bro, 100%. That dude is crazy good, like
Yeah.
crazy good. So, but yeah, I'd go Garrett Wilson for sure.
Definitely. One player that I already knew was going to probably be a top 5 pick in the NFL draft, and most likely he isn't going to go in the top 5. There's no way he doesn't. Kyle Hamilton of Notre Dame. The dude's just a freak.
Mm.
Obviously he's a stud in college, an absolute beast, and he showed it on display here in the combine. He's pretty much acing every single route. Every single drill, and killing all the reps. I'm really curious to see who picks him up. He might even go top 3. He's just a great athlete,
Good.
and great player. He got pretty much the best safety in the combine as far as his score that they grade him with, the 90 it says here. Yeah, so I'm curious to see where he goes. I would not be surprised if he ends up in Houston for sure. For Houston or Jacksonville.
I'll tell you what, man. Guy whose stock literally went from like already here to just went straight up.
Oh yeah.
Jordan Davis, for that defense lineman from Georgia. Dude is 6'6", 340. He's a huge guy. He was an absolute powerhouse this year. He was a powerhouse last year on Georgia's defense. Guy's a freaking man child. A lot of people question though, like how can he move? And this guy went into the freaking combine at 6'6", 340 and ran a 4.7 40.
It's nuts, dude.
As a defensive tackle. Like, what? Like, dude, what?
Yeah, it's scary.
That's absolutely terrifying. That somebody can get off the ball that quick with that size. Mm-hmm. And his, like, speed and power and everything, like he's not, like, just a big guy that can move. Like, he's a huge, powerful guy.
Yeah, and like, you're not supposed to be that. Typically, you're not supposed to be that fast and be that big. Like he is.
And he, like, man, the fact that he ran that, and then like everything else he displayed, like I think his broad jump was like 9.5 feet or something crazy like that. Like it's stupid. Like his statistics were just dumb. And to me, it was like, okay, this dude was already gonna be like a top 10 pick anyways. But like, if he's not top three, I'd be extremely surprised with him not being top three. And then they had oh god, I can't remember that kid's name. Because there was some controversy at the combine. Let me look it up.
Really?
Yeah, essentially that video of it on TikTok. I'm gonna pull this up. So basically, they show this guy, and there was some controversy with it. So Calvin Austin ran a 4.03, but they counted it as a 4.3. This is the wide receiver from Memphis. Okay. And I'll show you this right here. Pull it up here and play it. So they slow it down. Okay. So watch it in slow mo. Watch his feet.
What?
Yeah, dude.
That's nuts.
Like his knee is 4.03 across the line, and they counted it as a 4.32.
That's crazy. Okay.
Dude,
I mean,
and this guy at Memphis, like I remember him from Memphis. Dude was a stud. He just didn't have a great quarterback.
Yeah.
And everything. So there's like some controversy with that stuff going on, but because dude, somebody running a 4 flat like in the NFL, like hell.
That's crazy. I mean, that's crazy anywhere. You're getting 10 yards a second.
Yeah.
That 10 yards a second, that doesn't even seem real, to be honest. Guys work so hard to even get to 4.3, to even hit 4.3. You could be fast all your life and never be 4.3 fast. So the fact that it looks like he did a damn near 4 seconds, that's nuts, man. That is insane speed for a human being, you know?
Yeah. So I mean his draft stock is gonna go up a lot. I don't know like how he is as far as like a special teams kind of guy, like kick returner and stuff. But I mean like his draft stock's gonna go up tremendously because like speed like that, man, you just can't find, you know?
Most definitely. And you can't teach it either. It's just something that you just got in you. And if you don't. But that's nuts, man. So I've definitely been watching more basketball since we're getting closer to the end of the regular season and we're getting closer to the playoff pushes. And man, I gotta tell you,
Lakers are trash. I was gonna say it. Lakers are trash.
Here's what I didn't get. They played my Spurs the other day. You got LeBron sitting out a game because of knee soreness. He missed that game, and I'm just thinking to myself, okay, look, LeBron's knee is sore. I get it. He's an older guy. It kind of just feels like he's gone into the I don't care mode for this season now, because when your team needs it the most, and we look at the Lakers where they're the 9th seed. They're trying to make a push to at least get seeded, if anything, because I mean that gives them rest, right? They don't have to do the play-in tournament. They're trying to get seeded, and LeBron is sitting out against the 12th ranked Spurs at home, which they end up getting smacked and losing. And it just really makes me feel like, man, this team is all but kind of quit on themselves already. And it kind of feels like LeBron is just like being nonchalant, like he doesn't really care. I mean, I can't speak to him personally because I don't know what he's thinking, but it just says a lot from about the organization, the team, the coaching, and how those players are as a group together. The fact that he was just willing to miss that game that could have been crucial for them or important, because they need all the wins they can get right now, being the 9th seed. You got that. Then you got drama with Westbrook. And look, and I get it. And one thing that I wanted to talk about, because it does happen in sports, it shouldn't It's terrible. It does need to stop. It probably won't, unfortunately, because people are going to be people. But it's completely necessary. And I get that Westbrook, I think his wife mentioned about getting threats to the family and all that stuff, which I always thought is the stupidest thing in the world. Nobody should have to deal with that, whether you're an athlete or just a person. But there was an interview that he had where they were talking about him being called Westbrick. And he was saying about how he didn't like being called that. It bothered him because it felt like it was disrespectful to his family and his family's name. And then I know I have my opinion on that. And then before, I had really, explained it to my friend about my thoughts on that. Stephen A. Smith and Shannon Sharp both spoke to the situation where they first said, first off, nobody is making fun of your family. This doesn't have anything to do with your family. This is a nickname, which I think Skip Bayless is the one that made it up for him, like in 2012 or a good couple years ago, calling him Westbrook. And it's just the fact that his level of play when it comes to shooting the basketball, which is what basketball players are paid to do, has just never gotten better. And he always shoots terrible. So the thing that I guess that I agree with, and I don't agree with a lot of things Stephen A. Smith says, but I agree with him and Shannon Sharp that, you don't get any sympathy of, well, I don't want to be called Westbrook because it makes me feel bad. Dude, then you should play better.
Yeah,
You
hit your
should get
shots.
better at shooting.
Hit your shots, bro.
When you're considered to be a high profile player, and this is something that happens to bunch of different players. When you underperform, you don't perform well, or you just seem like you don't give a crap about some part of your craft, you're gonna get criticized about it, and it's just gonna be part of the basketball. And I'm not saying that anyone deserves to be called anything derogatory or like really disrespectful or racial or nothing like that. It's none of that. But come on, man, give me a break. You're upset because you're getting called something that's making fun of how you're shooting. Get better at shooting, dude. I mean, even as a fan, if you're a Westbrook fan, the guy can be really bad. Like he's either really bad on nights when he's shooting, or he's good. Never really good.
Yeah,
he's good, or he's really bad. That whole drama with that whole situation, his body language, his mood, everything, and it just makes me feel like LA has like already collapsed in on itself, and the fact that they're sitting at the 9th seed is pretty amazing. I really don't see them lasting too far. If they make the playoffs, I mean, we'll see. They're behind a couple games because Clippers are the 8th seed. They're 35-33. The Lakers are 28-37 right now.
I am just gonna say this. Like I said it a couple episodes ago, you'll either see the Lakers turn it on, like LeBron will turn it on and pop off, and they'll start climbing and all that stuff, or they're just gonna give up on the season. I kind of thought that was gonna happen when LeBron like dropped 56 the other night. But then they lose to the Spurs. Then they turn around last night and they lose to the freaking Rockets, who are the worst team in the West.
Yes, the worst.
In overtime. And
they got smacked in overtime.
It's just like, okay, what is going to happen is LeBron's done with this season. Mm-hmm. He didn't care. Westbrook is not good. Like, the guy is talented. He's athletic. But it's clearly been shown when it was him, James Harden, and Kevin Durant, they were great. But you also had James Harden, Kevin Durant, other good players on that team of the Thunder. Okay? As those guys left, they have continued to propel and do well on the teams that they're in. Those teams have made runs to the championship, or if not been close, like in the conference finals or almost to the conference finals. Westbrook is literally starting to be passed around from team to team. I think he's a cancer, to be honest. Everywhere he's gone, he's not gelled with anybody. He's always had issues and then instantly been traded. He's extremely overpaid. Now the Lakers are stuck in a situation with the contract of, I don't see anybody taking Westbrook, honestly, with how like his history's been. So I think they're going to be stuck with him. Yeah. I think LeBron has like one more year with the Lakers. And I honestly just see LeBron working towards the scoring title. Because with the pace he's been continuing to play at, if he stays healthy, he will be the all-time leading scorer in the NBA. He'll have that title. And I think that's kind of like what he's going to work towards and cement like his legacy with. Um, and then I see him going back to like Cleveland or something because he's kind of made a hint like he's never really completely wrote off Cleveland. That's always like his home and where he's been and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like I could see him going back to Cleveland and just making like kind of doing like a Kobe, like go back to Cleveland where it all started, do your season world tour type deal, go out, be recognized for your accomplishments.
Yeah.
But it's me and my buddy last night at the gym were talking about this, and I said the Lakers to me really screwed up when they did this. When they got rid of Rajon Rondo, they got rid of some veteran players to bring in Anthony Davis, which was already there, Russell Westbrook, Carmelo Anthony. I was like, they brought in Carmelo Anthony, who's old, not what he used to be in the league.
Yeah.
Russell Westbrook is the most individual player in the NBA. He's only about himself. He's never been a team guy. But then you have a lot of these younger guys that they're bringing in that are soft. Like they grew up in this mentality of what basketball is now, of like where if you go up for a shot and somebody bumps you, it's like a flagrant one, you know?
Yeah.
Like it's the softest stuff there is. And you have a lot of these young guys who are made in that style of basketball, whereas the guys they had before with like Dwight Howard, Rajon Rondo, those dudes were the ones that were kind of transitioning from that era of basketball where, yeah, you still got knocked around. You still got like put to the ground and everything. And they were tough and they were veterans and they knew what to expect. And you accompany that with a superstar like LeBron and Anthony Davis. You get these guys around them that are vets, can get after people that are tough. Now all of a sudden those guys are gone. You got these young guys in here who are, and I'm just gonna be blunt about it, super soft. You're seeing the result of it, in my opinion. And I've said this once before with my friends. I said I will always take, as far as a team, I will always take one superstar with 4 or 5 guys who play their ass off and their role really well than rather have 3 to 4 superstars who are about themselves. Because yeah, you can't coach talent, but you can coach toughness. You can get after people, and that kind of stuff is what disrupts talent. Like people don't like that. You look at Steph Curry as a prime example. When they were playing the Cleveland Cavaliers, and he was popping off, having that great of a season, and they literally harassed him, got after him. In his championship rounds, he had like one good game out of the championship when they played Cleveland, but Cleveland literally got after him and harassed him, and that's not the kind of basketball he liked to play. Like he didn't like that stuff. It disrupts his game. You look at LeBron when people get after him and harass him. Game. So I don't know, this new era of basketball that you're seeing is fitting for the NBA because the NBA is super soft now with like the way things are, but I think that's just kind of where they screwed up, man. Like when they won the championship, they had a really tough team with some superstars, and now they got a really young team with some old superstars. And Anthony Davis, guy is a great player. I like Anthony Davis personally, but the dude, he's soft.
Yeah, for sure.
He just gets hurt all the time. He gets knocked around all the time. Great athlete, great shooter for his size, can handle the ball, but dude's just soft. This is what it is.
Yeah, and and I've heard some people say, and of course, as a Lakers fan, saying this, well, they've had a lot of injuries. Well, buddy, I don't know what to tell you besides that's not an excuse for the shortcoming that because when they're not injured and the guys are on the floor, they're still not doing enough to win enough of these games.
Yep.
It's not like these injuries are like injuries that are causing enough major players to miss months at a time. There's no reason why the Lakers, even at their worst, shouldn't at least be ranked 6 or 7 and not 9 and not be 2-8 out of their last 10. Like there's just not an excuse for that. But I think a good surprise that has come out recently this year, the Memphis Grizzlies are just amazing. Jim Moran is such an amazing player. He really whooped up on us. Into Spurs not too long ago. He had a crazy game. I think he dropped like 55 points or something. I mean, they're gonna go I think, pretty far in the Western Conference. I wouldn't be surprised if you see maybe them and the Suns or them and the Golden State Warriors there at the Western Conference Finals. The Suns are actually the first team to clinch a playoff berth. They are 53-13. I remember we talked about the last show around the All-Star break. Curious to see if they're going to be able to maintain their momentum without Chris Paul. And yeah, they're still playing really well, because it goes back to what you were saying. It's not just a bunch of stars. It's a couple, maybe like you could say Booker and Chris Paul, but then like everybody else is a good team player. They play hard, they play their ass off, they work well together, and that's how they're still rocking this lead. They're 7-3 of their last 10 games. They're on a 2-game win streak. I mean, their home record is great, their road record is great. They're 1-0 in overtime. They're just playing fantastic basketball again. I honestly did not feel, and I was wrong about this, because I was the first one to say, man, the Suns don't win it now, they're probably not going to get back. But it looks like I'm eating my words now, because it looks like they have a legitimate shot at getting back to the NBA Finals. And I honestly hope, if they do, I hope they win it. I really do, because the Suns haven't won one in a long time. I would like to see Chris Paul get a ring, and
Yeah,
Devin Booker definitely deserves one.
I would
Um,
really like to see Chris Paul get a
Interesting to
ring.
see. Yeah, I mean, right now, I'm guessing it's either going to be Golden State, um, Suns, or Memphis, and then they possibly might end up playing a team like the Heat or even the 76ers, who have been playing really well the last few weeks. It'd be nice to see the Bulls get there. It's going to be interesting to see how the playoffs pan out. I think right now, for the playoff picture, if it started today, New Orleans and the Lakers would play for the play-in tournament, and they would play the winner of the or no, they would play the play-in tournament. Then the winner would play Phoenix, which still end up getting bumped out that first round. Then you have Minnesota and the Clippers in the first round. Utah and Dallas, Golden State and Denver.
And that's how it is like right now if the standing change.
Yeah, that's how it is right now. The settings didn't change, so it's pretty interesting. I think the Chicago and Celtics series is going to be really interesting. I think if they can get past the Celtics, they can go really far with how they've been playing. And ironically enough, Cleveland is in the playoffs without LeBron. They'd be playing the 76ers as well. So, yeah.
Honestly, man, Harden going to the 76ers seems to be gelling pretty good.
Yeah, it does seem to be working pretty good. I don't want to necessarily say it's been better than, well, you know what? Harden has performed better and done more for the 76ers than Ben Simmons has proved to be for the Nets.
Yep.
I heard someone say something about he missed the game versus Brooklyn just because he did, or 76ers. He missed that game to play against his old team because he just didn't want to do it. Like he didn't want to man up, or some kind of personal, made up some kind of reason of why he couldn't do it. I heard it was like a minor injury, but then someone
Soft.
else was talking about how he's just like, no, I don't want to play my old team because I'm not feeling good. Like, come on, man.
Soft. So I'm talking about, man, some like, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful to like any of these people and things like that, but it's just, I don't know, man. Like sometimes it's hard for me to watch stuff, and the reason I can say this is like I've played sports. You've played sports. I've literally played football, basketball, baseball, track, wrestling. Like I've done it all. Okay, and I grew up in this era where it was like, man, like you got your bell rung, you got up, knocked the dirt off you, and you just went right back to it. And like, granted, with technology and research and studies, we've kind of seen like that's actually extremely dangerous with concussions and things like that, and your overall like mental health, your brain. But it's just
Yeah.
like some of the developments of things that have gone with like safety protocols and stuff. Like I get them, I understand them, but man, like just seeing how some of these guys now play, it's like they get bumped down the lane and they're throwing their arms up, yelling at the ref, like that's a foul. Come on, man. It's like, nah, dude. Like he's in your stuff. He's playing defense on you. Like he's getting after you. It's not a foul.
Yeah, and I think for like guys like Ben Simmons, like if part of the reason that I kind of just feel like they might not be like, okay, if you're not right in the head mentally, or like something's going on that's preventing you from playing, you have something going on in your personal life, and whether you want to share it or not, it's not relevant. I get that, right? That happens to the best of us. I mean, it's just part of life. but it's just the way that he carries himself, the way he pouts, drags his feet, the way that he's acted in the past, that, oh, I don't feel like practicing, or I'm at practice, I don't want to do this drill, like, like just the really negative attitude, or kind of basically being like you're a big brat, like you're a big child, like, I don't feel like doing this, buddy. Everybody has to do it, man. This is why you're here. I think it's because of when players have attitudes like that, it makes me feel less sympathy for them when they're like, oh, I'm not feeling good, because it just makes me wonder, do you legitimately not feel good or in the right place mentally, or is this just you being lazy? Like, is this just
Yeah.
you being, being a baby about it? And there's a difference,
And
so
that's, to me, that kind of stuff that happens from time to time is why I don't like guaranteed money.
yeah,
Because you're
yeah,
locked into a guy, and as soon as that guy flips that switch where he's just like, you know what, I'm over this, I don't care, I'm getting paid, whatever, I'll show up to practice and half-ass it all. Yeah, I'll show up to the game and just do my part. I don't really care to be here. Like, they're meeting their contract, like, agreement of being in the games, showing up to practice to not be fined, but they're clearly not performing the way that they should be performing and are
yeah,
expected to perform. But now you can't do anything because they're meeting the expectations of the contract. And you've started to see some NFL contracts that have been structured where, yeah, you get so much money this year, but if you get so many touchdowns or you get so many receptions, like, it's an
bonus,
extra
yeah,
this.
yeah,
And like, I think like Gronk was like a touchdown away or something from, like, he was like a touchdown away, two more catches or three more catches. And I think like 80 yards away from like an extra 1.8 million. Like, that's all the incentive I need. Like, hey
yeah,
bro, call these plays for me today. We'll get this knocked out in the first quarter. We're good. Let's go. You know, and it reminds me of you ever seen Any Given Sunday,
yes, I have,
where the it's Lawrence uh Taylor Lawrence, or Lawrence Taylor,
yeah, Lawrence Taylor,
where he was like playing linebacker and he had to get one more like tackle for loss or something, and he like blitzed and like basically like breaks his neck, knocks himself out, but he got the stop and as a tackle for loss, and they like roll him over and he's like, "Did I stop him? Yeah, man, you stopped him. That was a loss, man. You got a loss." And he's like, and he like looks at the doctors and stuff. He's like, "Don't drop my ass because I'm worth $1 million now." Like, like
yeah,
the dude's literally broke his neck, probably paralyzed, and he's like, but that's what was like he was fixated on, was like, did I do what I was supposed to do to get my $1 million bonus? And it's just, it's crazy, man. Like, but I don't know, some of those guaranteed contracts, you lock yourself into these people, man, and then you're literally stuck with them until you can get somebody else to make a deal with you and take that trouble off your hands.
yeah, definitely. But I mean, it's all gonna come to it, just like it is in the NFL. When it comes to playoff times and the finals, it's all gonna come to a head here soon
Oh
with
yeah.
the Eastern Western Conference and the NBA. I mean, there's gonna be some really good games. If I had to choose a random top six team or top five team from the Eastern Conference, I mean, me personally, it would be nice to see the Bulls go back with the ranked number fourth seed. And out of the top six, top five, in the Western Conference, this is a long shot. I mean, it'd be really tough for them to get past Golden State or even Memphis and Phoenix, but I would like to see the Dallas Mavericks go far with Luca and make a run. Kind of felt like
He's
they
so
like
good, bro.
yeah, it kind
So
of
good.
felt like last year they played so well in the playoffs and they were like right there every game, but Luca just didn't really have any help, and it
Mhm.
really seemed like he was the only one, maybe not the only one playing his ass off, but the only one that was playing
Yeah.
hard and playing well
Yeah.
consistently. So curious to see how that goes with them this year. It's going to be a fun time in NBA playoffs. It's so much better to have a series. Well, because obviously football, it's a different kind of sport and physicality, but it's nice to be able to have a playoff series where there's multiple games for like one matchup, and then you go and there's going to be more multiple
Oh
games.
yeah.
It's
Oh
a
yeah.
lot of basketball. It's going to be going on. And then very soon we got March Madness coming. So that's going to be pretty dope. We're going to be able to talk about that really soon. I think you said next week, right? You wanted to do
Tuesday.
Tuesday. Okay,
Yeah.
for sure.
So they're doing the conference tournaments right now. Those are actually live right now. Like, you got Big Ten playing. I was
Yeah.
actually looking at the scores here real quick, like to give you a perspective. Iowa is beating in the first or second round. Iowa's beating Northwestern 98-74. Creighton Marquette are 29-26 at halftime. So you got Pac-12 games, Big 12 games, Big 10. Those are all your conference tournaments this week. There's already kind of been an upset. Indiana beat Michigan to actually move on, and Indiana is one of those teams that they pretty much got to win the conference tournament to have an automatic bid into the March Madness. Because with their record and stuff, if they don't win the conference tournament, they're probably not going to get in. So
Yeah.
But then next week on Tuesday, they usually do like the play-in games for these smaller teams, and we can fill out our bracket and stuff during Tuesday's podcast. So, because all the teams will be seeded by this Sunday, all that stuff will be established.
Yeah, definitely. I still gotta get my bracket filled out. Actually, I'm gonna do that once they announce the teams.
Yeah.
I think it's Sunday, right? Sunday.
Yeah, should be Sunday afternoon. Definitely by Sunday evening they'll have everything like done. So should be fun.
Definitely a lot of basketball coming up to the next few months.
Oh yeah. Well, guys, that's gonna wrap it up for us. We appreciate y'all. Those of you that have been like downloading the podcast, listening to it and everything, we've been getting some feedback in the Discords. It's awesome. We're getting feedback from some people. We love you guys. We appreciate you. Zoodle my noodle, I'm calling you out, bro. Appreciate you, man. I appreciate the feedback. I know little Jacob does too.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you.
I am Selfless_gaming. Once again, you can find me on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Hover. Pretty much if there's any type of social media, I'm going to try to be on it. Well, Jacob, go ahead and wrap it up for us, bro.
Yeah, everybody, Little Jacob with a 3 instead of an E. You can also find me on Twitch, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, and even Facebook if you like to utilize that. Feel free to reach out to me, hit me up. Definitely like communicating on those social medias that I'm on most of the time anyways. So feel free to reach out, have any questions or anything you want to discuss or just your opinion on things in sports. Definitely feel free to reach out and let us know.
We appreciate you guys. Y'all be careful. Continue to take care of each other. Continue to support each other. We love you. Be safe.
Ladies.
Deuces.